Morning, friends. Welcome to the Wednesday LiveStream. For some reason today, Vimeo is working. Well, I think one of the issues is that I have better internet where I am right now. I am coming to you from Boise, Idaho, in my new office. I'm got a lot of things unpacked, not everything, and I'm still working on the studio. But what I want to talk about today, and this is Steve Yulberg if you don't know that, but what I want to talk about today is time signatures and tempo. We talked about timing in music and the how the notes are subdivided. And I had a student who's 10 who was very astute in his observations of a tune that we were working on, a guitar student. And so I want to share with you the thing that we were talking about, that this is something that I think can help. A deeper understanding we have can help us better know how to interpret things when we're playing the music. And let me just make sure that we have the live. Let's see here. Video. There it is. Okay. So I want to comment. Good morning. Oops. And so there is this little decoding thing that happens at the very beginning of a piece of music. Let me share my screen. And we're going to there we are. Let's try that again. I want to share happy birthday. I've written this out for several different students at different times, and this particular guitar student wanted to have happy birthday in the key of C. The chord boxes are empty because originally this was for a student who was left-handed, and I could not find a way in Finale to let me display left-handed chord boxes. So I left them blank and said, it's your job to fill them in the way they need to be played. So you can see, if we look right here, over at the top left corner of the musical notation, we have the treble clef, and then we have the numbers 3, 4, and then we have musical notation. The attached staff that's part of this system that says guitar and tab is the tablature. This is similar to dulcimer tablature, where the numbers are telling us what string and what fret to play. But we want to pay attention today to this part right here. The 3, 4, those numbers, it's like a fraction, but not the same as a fraction. It's a musical designation. The number on the top tells us how many beats in a measure we're going to have. The number on the bottom tells us which note we're going to count to get that number of beats. So this one says 3, 4, and we're going to go to the first full measure. I'll come back and talk about this in a minute. There are quarter notes. The 4 refers to the quarter notes. We're counting 1, 2, 3, and because there's 3 beats in a measure, it's time to start over. Half note is worth 2. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now we start the next measure. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Now, where's that third beat at the very end? Told you I was going to come back. These two at the beginning, which do not take up a whole measure, are before the strong beat. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. Happy, and we'd start over. These notes here are called a pickup at the very beginning. They don't take up a whole measure. It's 3 and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 and 1. So you can see the musical phrase does not belong inside the measures. it starts before and finishes, and then the next phrase is rhythmically the same, and the next phrase is almost the same, and it gets repeated before we're back to or at the end now. This does not tell us how fast we're going to play, and that is tempo. Tempo is the Italian word, like I mentioned before, that is for it is time, but it means how fast are we going to play. And the time signature does not guarantee that, because I want to compare or contrast the time signature for you, okay? This is what the student was talking about in the lesson. This is the same tune, and it's for comparison, but notice our time signature. Instead of being, whoops, no, I didn't want that. Here's what I want. Instead of being 3/4, it's 3/2, which is telling us there's going to be 3 beats in a measure, but we're going to count half notes this time. And that means what used to be eighth notes now become quarter notes. 3 and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Oops, I forgot to erase that eighth rest. To be correct, I would have to blank that out so that the end and the last measure and the beginning pickup cancel each, or they complete a whole measure. Now let me stop sharing for just a moment. You can see that, or I hope you can see and notice that it's the same song. It's just, let's see here. It's the same song. It's just that it doesn't, one makes it look different, but neither one tells us how fast we're going to go. They just tell us how we're going to divide up the things that are going on inside the tune. Now, these are both simple meter because everything can be subdivided into two. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a. And that's where we're dividing up the pizza that I talked about last week. If you would like to have a reference for that, let me get to Dulcimer Crossing, and I will share the screen for, oops, nope, didn't want that. Here we go. Share the screen. Here's what I want to share. Okay. Yes, I am teaching in the Walnut Valley Festival midwinter workshops this weekend, but I want us to go to the free section. And in the free section, under General Music Theory, we can see the music vocabulary. These are the things we talked about last week. But we're talking about note values comparisons comparing to a pizza. Okay. Now, when I click on that, didn't open that up. Okay, I've got to share a new, I need to share a new tab. That's what I need to do. Okay, this is from the free section, and we're talking on the second page, comparing note values to pizza. Whole note is equal to the whole measure, or 4 beats. Half notes are equal to 2 beats each. Quarter notes are equal to 1 beat each. Eighth notes takes 2 of these to make 1 of those, takes 2 of these to make 1 of those, takes 2 of these to make 1 of those, and so on. They can get subdivided into smaller slices. And if I'm counting a measure, I would still count a measure that has a whole note in it. I would count 1, 2, 3, 4. If it has 2 half notes in it, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4. If it has 4 quarter notes, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4. If it has eighth notes, I might count it this way: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and the same length of time that it's going to take for that music to be played. That still doesn't tell me how fast we're going to play. And this is where people do get a little bit confused. Let's see. Why are we looking so? Let's do a quick speed test. My upload is slower than it normally is. That would explain. Well, actually, upload is pretty good. The downloading side of things is slower than what I expected. Okay. That's better. So it still doesn't tell us how fast the things are going to go. It just tells us how the piece, which can expand in speed or contract in speed, like the we could say expand in speed. Maybe expanding, contracting, not the right words. But if a song is going faster, each of the pieces inside it are going to be smaller bits of the same time it's going to take to play the whole song. If the speed is slower, the pieces inside are going to be the same bits as it takes to play the whole song. They're divided up evenly. The time signature tells us how we're going to count and divide those things, but it doesn't tell us how fast we're going to play. And that's where tempo markings are going to be the important thing. And let's see, is that where it is? Let's try this. No, that didn't do it. Ooh. This might be the one I'm looking for. There it is. Yay. Now we're getting to where I want to be. Yay. We finally gotten there. It is possible the words for timing are in Italian. The basic tempo markings. And there are just some simple rules here. All the markings are based on a few root words. If we add "issimo," that means everything what we're doing is amplified, made louder or faster. By adding "ino" or "etto," it's diminished or made softer. Now, the markings here, the BPM means beats per measure. And that's a function that comes from the tool called a metronome. Let's see, I've got one right here. I just had to dig it out. So let's stop sharing for a minute. Beats per measure. I've got this set up for 3 in the bottom corner here. It says 3 beats of a measure. 100 means how many beats we're going to have in each measure. And in a song, whoops, get you over here. In a song that is in 3 timing of 3 like this, a waltz, you can hear one of the beats is a little different than the others. Beep, beep, beep. That's set out so that I can hear the dominant beat, the bum, 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 1. Every one of those different pitches is the 1. But that was at 100 beats per minute. what if we now we make it 120 beats per minute. One, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. We can make that go faster. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. That's 160 beats per measure or per minute. What if we made it 60? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. It's quite slow. Here's the thing I want you to notice. It didn't matter whether I used 3/2 or 3/4 for the time signature. The tempo was going to tell me how fast we're playing. Often a piece of music will tell us at the top the quarter note equals how many beats per minute. In 3/2, it might tell us the half note equals how many beats per minute, and that's what we set our metronome to. However, and this is what I was a little ahead of myself. What I wanted to show you was that before there were metronomes that were even wound up metronomes, there were just general words: grave, slow and solemn; lento, slowly; largo is broadly; larghetto, rather broadly; adagio, slow and stately; adagietto, rather slow; andante, moderato, a bit slower than andante. Andante is a walking pace. Andantino, picking up the walking pace. Moderato, allegretto, moderately fast, but less though than allegro. Allegro moderato, a little bit faster than allegretto. Allegro, fast, quickly and bright. And you can see there's a big range. Vivace, lively and fast, quickly. Vivacissimo, very fast and very lively. Allegrissimo, very fast. Presto, very fast. Pretissimo, extremely fast. Now, there are some metronome markings here, and you'll notice that lento and largo tend to have about the same. There's some overlap with larghetto and adagio. Adagietto starts a little slower. There's an overlap here. Andante between 76 to 108 beats per minute. Moderato between 108 and 120. Allegretto moderato 112 to 124. Allegro 120 to 168. That's a lot. And in the middle of that is vivace. So you can see that there's some room for interpretation here. But in musical notation, you'll often see some words at the top of the page, which will give you the kind of general tempo, how fast this is going to be. So the music is going to have a time signature, which tells us how we're going to count the measures, but the tempo marking is separate from that. If you don't have a tempo marking and you just have the notation and the time signature, or if you don't, there are some hymn books that have no time signatures, but they'll have all the pieces that are what would be in 6/8 written in 6/4. So there's no eighth notes in the song, but there's a lot of half notes and quarter notes. And some musicians mistakenly believe that means don't play it too fast, play it slower, because it's got half notes, and half notes are slow. And that's a misunderstanding of the music. However, in that case, I think it was a intentional sort of political choice. We don't want people dancing in church, so we're going to play the music at a tempo so they aren't tempted to dance. We just can't have that. So that's just me speaking. I've not seen that anywhere, but I know that there's a lot of dance tunes that when they get played, especially on an organ, people are just happy that there's half notes and they don't have to play fast, not understanding that that's not what that means. So there you go. Now, if you have questions about any of this, you can ask them in the chat. And didn't mean to shout, but that's the way it goes. And at this point, seeing no questions, I'll just encourage you to ask them later. You can always write to me at steve@dulcimercrossing.com. Let's see. What I'm trying to understand. There we go. Is why I can't see that. And there are some comments, so you can't get rid of that, Talon, but I can. So sorry about that. Yeah, BPM is beats per minute. And this is a Korg separate, standalone metronome that I was using to demonstrate what I'm talking about here. And I apologize, Talon, you're the one that reminds me that all the time. Go ahead and ask your question, Talon, besides the one that I just fixed. The title's on you. Yeah. Okay. Let's go back to the count, how I counted the 3-2. That's a good question, because I'll just do that comparison again. Is that all right? So I'm in a 3-2 song. 3 means there's 3 beats in a measure, and the 2 means I'm counting half notes. So the pickup notes here, there are 3 beats, and these are equivalent, these 2 quarter notes, with the last half note. So I'm going to count 3 and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and then this quarter rest is actually there. It's a hanger on, doesn't belong. I'm going to go back to the 1 and 3, 4 timing. 3 and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Now, if there was a tempo written up here that said largo for the 3-4 one, but there was a tempo in this one that said vivace, even though it's in 3-2, this tempo would go a lot faster. Let's do vivace quickly, like around 140. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. That's the 3-2 one. And I could do similarly the 3-4 one. Happy birthday to you is at 60 beats per minute. Happy birthday. I'm still counting it the same way, but I'm not going at the same tempo at all. Does that help? And of course, Jim, you were starting to say the metronome. There are responsive tools that, I like you say, it tattles on you. It follows and tells you what you're playing. And you can, what I love, it's Aaron O'Rourke says he hates metronomes because they keep speeding up and slowing down. And of course, who's speeding up? Excuse me, who's speeding up and slowing down? We are, not the tool, but it indicates that. And again, we are not automatons. What we want is to be able to be responsive to the music and the environment. If we're playing with other people, there might be a picking slight variation in the tempo of what we're playing within the song. But organically, that happens because we all respond to each other and match each other and make it work. Exactly. The eighth notes are not beamed together. They can be beamed together or they can be separated with flags, but they represent the same amount of counting in the measure. Let me just share that again. So these are beamed together. This is the equivalent of this last beat, which is a quarter note here. Happy 3 and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. In the 3 2, 3 and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. We're conditioned to know that this has two of these in it, but we don't often see 3 2. So we start counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that can be confusing in another way for jigs and things like that. We're not going to talk about that today. We'll talk some more about this next week, but we're not going to take time to do that today because we're running out of time. But I'm glad to know that the system is working better with the better, more responsive internet, faster internet where I am. Let's see what's coming up. Let's point to what's coming up. As I said, I'm teaching in the Walnut Valley Festival weekend workshops, 4 hammer dulcimer workshops this Saturday and Sunday. Registration ended last night. Maybe you could beg to get in today. There might be a possibility. Go to the Walnut Valley Festival. I am teaching the only hammer dulcimer workshops for this festival. The Berkeley Dulcimer Gathering, registration just went live for that one, which is in May. And we're excited. Aubrey Atwater's coming back to be the headlining mountain dulcimer player for that. Even though I don't live in Berkeley anymore or in the Bay anymore, I'm the artistic director for this festival. And she'll be the outside headliner, Aubrey Atwater from Rhode Island, and Ilis Mears, national champion hammer dulcimer player from Missouri, is going to be our hammer dulcimer outside instructor, and I'll be the other hammer dulcimer instructor, and I'll teach one mountain dulcimer class. Kay Boland from California and Dusty Turtle and Thorburn and Deborah Morris and Heidi Muller from up in Northeast Oregon, from Joseph, Oregon. And I will also be teaching mountain dulcimer. Deborah Morris has done just a bang-up job of putting together a community that focuses on baritone mountain dulcimers, and she's going to be doing several different classes on baritones, and even one or two longer in-depth ones on Sunday as well. That festival, Friday night and Saturday night concerts workshops all day Saturday, and then in-depth special extra workshops on Sunday. Coming up this Sunday, registration opens for the Pocono Dulcimer Festival. And there's about 20 instructors going to be a part of that. I get to be a part of that. I'm very excited about that. And I'm excited also, just in looking to the future, I was invited to be part of the in-person Colorado Dulcimer Festival next February 22. And we're hoping, of course, that we're able to gather in person again. That's one of the things we're looking forward to after having this 2-year hiatus or something like that. But I'm optimistic that at some point we will be able to do that. And I'm very grateful for all the digital ways we can do that, because they don't replace each other, they supplement each other. Well, thank you for your attention today. Let me just check and see if there's any more questions. Doesn't look like we have any right now. If you have questions that follow up after this, or you're watching it after it's posted, it's very interesting. It won't let me see all the comments while we're in the way. Feel free to write me at steve@dulcimercrossing.com with any other questions you might have. And I guess that's it for today. I will see you next week. This, as always, will be archived on our Vimeo site, on YouTube at the Dulcimer Crossing channel, and on Dulcimer Crossing itself. Thank you.